welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to get rid of these screens so we can, so we don't have to look at that. We can just look at my glorious logo.
ManCave.
ManCave.
Did you design that yourself? Or?
No, ex-wife.
Oh, right.
Ex-wife, very talented graphic designer, and yeah, she did that, and she gave it to me as a gift, and yeah, and it's just stuck. It's just been it's not a bad little brand.
No,
I think
it's very impressive. It's like
50s comic book or
something.
Yeah,
I was thinking that sort of Superman, pow.
Batman and Robin, isn't it? Batman and Robin, Zap. Pow, that kind of stuff. But it's good. I mean, the actual trying to figure out what the genre of the site and everything was. It was like, well, do I do ManCave, like fit outs, people building their ManCave, because I did build a ManCave, and I thought, well, let's do that. Then that kind of didn't really kick off. And then I was like, well, let's do gaming, let's do comic books, let's do a little bit of a kind of like a podcast with a couple of people talking about film reviews and podcasts and everything. So there's been lots of content through here. And then it's only in the last, this run of 6 episodes and everything that that I've come to the conclusion that this is a nice format. This is the one that I actually want to stick with and everything. I'm having the most fun doing this, put it this way. Interviewing people like yourselves. You wanted to know about these, didn't you? These are Funko Pops. Have you ever heard of Funko Pops?
No.
So Funko Pops are little vinyl or plastic figurines of everything in modern and previous pop culture. So, for example, there you go. There's a special limited edition Darth Vader with a special graffiti artist that's done a design all over him. This is a bit of a collector's limited edition one, which I picked up the other week. I've never collected these before. My friend who runs a channel is into them, and he got me onto them. He's got a wall. He's got a wall of them. He was actually on my first episode of the podcast, and he showed me like the whole collection and everything. He's mad on it. I mean, you got everything. I've got some order with Back to the Future. That's Kylo Ren from the new Star Wars movie. So that's Han Solo's son.
Oh, right.
Who becomes the new Darth Vader. And he's got a bobble to him as well, because not all of them have got a bobble. This is BB-8, which is the new kind of R2 out of the new Star Wars movies. I don't really like the new Star Wars movies that much, but, I just thought the table was looking a little bit bare. So I've given it a few focus points. So, well, thank you for joining me this morning. And I've got to also say, you are actually sort of a patron of this podcast anyway, because some of the key equipment that I'm actually using, you very kindly put on loan to me, which has got the entire show going to a level which I don't think I could afford to do straight away. So I thank you straight away for that. That's been awesome.
You're absolutely welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the gear I've collected over the years, these mics I got to do choir work with. Mm-hmm. And
you're a little bit closer. There you go.
Oh, right. Okay. Of course, I've sat back.
Quiet. Yeah, you have to be. You can be comfortable, but take it with you. Just take it with you. As long as we keep in the nice green section, then we're all right, really. I don't know why I'm telling you this. The whole reason I've got you on this, which we'll get to. Sorry, I interject. But yeah, all the kit that you provided has been really great.
Well, I originally did sort of choir work in churches, small stuff.
When was this?
And, I'm going back probably 15 years, something like that.
15, okay.
And then all of a sudden I got asked to do work in a cathedral.
Okay.
Which is, of course, big and somewhat more challenging.
Yeah, well, the acoustics in a cathedral must be a nightmare.
Yeah. And... I mean, these microphones that they have here, they're not expensive, but every bit as good.
Yeah.
As there are rather expensive alternatives.
Well, I mean, The ones that I've seen on the podcast do, like people like Joe Rogan and things like that, I've actually looked them up. They're 400 quid per mic.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's a lot of money. I can understand though, because it's a very warm sound, very calming. It's very warm, but these do really well.
Well, the ones that are professional guys use, let's say the BBC, would use valve microphones.
Valve? Oh, Valve. Are they the ones that are kind of a little radiator type thing? Big sort of tub thing. Yeah.
And because it's the valve, you see, it gives you that warm sort of bumble.
Yeah.
Keep my hands down, boy.
You got to remember your media training now. I actually wanted to get to that because you've got some fascinating stories. You've had a career as a prop man at the BBC, but also as a sound engineer. And I mean, you worked man and boy at the BBC, didn't you? Was it? Well, when did you
no,
get
man, really.
Man, not man and boy. So you didn't do apprenticeships there or anything.
I think I'm old enough now that the BBC pension fund wouldn't sort of find out about this, but basically I had a life of a bit of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Then on into musical theatre.
Yeah.
And then I got to kind of 39 years of age, and I thought, I haven't got a pension. So
really?
I'd done a few freelance things for the BBC, and then because I just turned up one day at the front gate, and the commissioner came over. He said, "You can't park here, son." I said, "No." I said, "I've just come to ask you for a job."
What?
That's it. So the chap on the front gate, he said, "Oh, they all come here, son." He said, "Write to BBC appointments, London W1A."
Yeah.
And of course, I just imagined skip loads of letters being dumped every day because I hadn't got time to read through them all.
Yeah.
And anyway, I sort of smiled, and he said, "Oh, come on, it's my tea break." And he walked me across the road to a block called Centre House.
Yeah.
Where personnel were, you see.
Right.
And he rang up the top floor somewhere. He said, "Hello, boss. Got an idea. Got experience of theatre, wants to join the beep. Somebody be down with a form."
A form?
A form to
That's
fill
it.
in.
Join the BBC form.
So this suit sort of appeared, walked over, and he looked at me and he went, "And now?"
Oh, really?
And I said, yes, I'd rather like to come and work for the BBC. Good.
So he's 39 years old. You just turn up at the
just
gate.
Coming up when I was 38, really. Then
38.
Yeah, just turned up.
But still, though, I mean, that's like I'm hit middle age with 40, and it's just like, oh, let's just start a new career.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was it. I mean, I knew, I'd had a career, or have a career.
What were you trained at before?
I was an electrician.
So you were an electrician, yeah.
And got involved in a local theatre in Plymouth.
Yeah.
And sort of did a lot of electrical work for lighting.
Yeah.
And then sort of set up a lighting board because they wanted touring shows to come in. Mm-hmm. So it had to sort of cut the mustard.
Yeah.
And they hadn't got in lighting working and a decent lighting operative.
Yeah.
They said, "Would you now design us a big sound system?"
Okay.
Because rock and roll, with banks of black speakers either side of the stage.
Yeah, the towers.
And then all of a sudden you had sort of like Jesus Christ Superstar with big PA systems.
Yeah.
And so they wanted similar.
Stop it. Sorry, excuse me. I've always we've always got the problem of Loki. He wants to be the star of the show. And he always does distracting things. It's kind of his thing. It's kind of his cameo thing. So, sorry, as you were saying.
So I went on to design a sound system, which was sort of half built in.
Yeah.
And then they designed a show at the theatre, and they said, "We want to put this on the road.
Yeah.
Can we have the sound system go with the show?"
Oh. And
I said, "Well, not really, because all the cables are buried under concrete."
Yeah. Might need some new cables. Yeah.
So I designed a sort of sound system to tour.
Okay.
And I must admit, a lot of this I was sort of picking up from then, people like Britannia Row, Pink Floyd sound system and the Who sound system and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And just asking them questions.
Really?
How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you get this to work? Why do you do this?
This must have been fun research to do. I mean, is that because because they come into the venue that they were playing at? Like, so were they playing at your venue, or did you have to actually go out to their shows?
No, I used to go to their shows.
You used to go to shows and you
just
used to go backstage?
Yeah, I'd make a nuisance of myself, basically.
Right, okay. But you managed to actually get to the backstage area, though?
They gave me a lot of information just to get me out the bloody way, basically.
So, yeah.
Get rid of it,
That's a hustle, though, that is, isn't it? Yeah.
And it just sort of, I got more and more knowledge. And where can I go from there? I mean, I toured Roxy Music.
But this is, so just to break up, so you got your information for the theatre, musical theatre, you were kind of like, did your research and everything like that. This is all before the BBC stuff, right?
Yeah.
So then you went on tour. So you had touring experience before you actually made that jump to the BBC?
Yeah, several tours and a West End residency as well.
Okay. And which theatre?
Well, I did Her Majesty's, which was Bugsy Malone.
Oh, really? Bugsy Malone? Yeah. Excellent.
And Song and Dance, that was at the Cambridge.
Okay.
And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Song in the first half and Wayne Sleep in the second half.
Well, the star.
And very talented, very nice, but very boring to work on.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not rock and roll, is it? You
No.
know, it's musical theatre. It's. I'm sure there was some ups and downs with it all, though. Yeah, working in entertainment and everything.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, but so you did all those.
Did all that, and it sort of culminated again going back to the theatre in Plymouth.
Yeah.
Having done a tour.
Yeah.
Because they rent me out, if you see what I mean.
Well, you're freelance, aren't you, for this kind of stuff?
And then Danny LaRue show appeared.
Oh.
And they were with us for a week. And on the very first day, the sound man fell over and broke his leg.
Oh, flipping heck.
Unloading the lorries, eh?
Right.
And have we got anybody that knows anything about sound? And they all pointed at me.
Oh, my God. Right place, right time. That's a bit of destiny.
So I was out on stage. This is a rehearsal, no audience. So I'm on stage and I'm coiling up a microphone cable.
Yeah.
So, when they pick a microphone up, it all leads out and doesn't tie in a knot.
Yeah.
And so there's a microphone cable and I'm bending and I'm coiling it like this, and all of a sudden this hand alighted on my bottom. Bloody hell, I thought. Stood up and was just about lamping one, you see, when I suddenly said, Mr. LaRue.
So your first experience of Danny LaRue was his hand on your bottom?
Like that, you see.
Nice.
And, so we got through the week.
I did it. These 70s and 80s performers, isn't they?
We got through the week, and I thought, well, that's it. It all kind of moved on, I thought, well, what an experience.
Yeah.
And they got as far as Bristol, the Colston Hall, I think.
Yeah.
And the phone rang, and they said the replacement sound man wasn't up to it.
Oh, okay.
Very impressed with me. Would I go up to Bristol?
There you go.
And so I was dispatched to Bristol.
Yeah.
And I drove up there, didn't have a clue what to expect.
No.
And, of course, the opening night, no rehearsal, just went into it cold.
Right.
So I'm sitting there with this big multi-channel mixer.
Yeah.
And they put me in the band pit.
Okay.
Because there was nowhere out in the auditorium.
I'm about to say, normally you're at the back so you can actually get a proper sense of what the sounds... or halfway up even, yeah.
Halfway up in a little booth or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm down in the and the show starts. Hello, boys and girls, all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then this long stick came out from the side of the band pit.
Right.
And it sort of prodded me. And the chap was going into the head, my head, you see.
Right, he said you're tapping your head.
And then this beret came out on the end of the stick.
A beret?
Well, they wanted to put this beret on because the light was bouncing off my board and dazzling the people in the front row.
Oh, brilliant. Really? So there you are with your beret,
So
looking like a low.
And finished that tour. We ended up in Cardiff.
Right, okay.
There was only about 3 weeks left of it.
Yeah.
Ended up in Cardiff. And so I go back to Plymouth again, and I think there we are, back to obscurity.
Yeah.
And then the phone rang, and it was, what's his name? You know, the impresario, Levi, Levine.
Oh, what is this? A musician act?
Gosh, the name suddenly
from Danny LaRue's kind of.
Well, yeah, he was First Leisure Corporation. He, for instance, funded Raise the Titanic.
Okay.
And famously said, raise the Titanic, it would be cheaper to drain the Atlantic.
Right, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. Anyway, that chap, I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name.
Okay.
And so on the phone, he said, NACU rates, these are the unions.
Mm.
He said, NACU rates, blah, 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 blah. So I'll give you £100 a week plus subsistence.
Okay.
I said, you're joking. I mean, back then, technicians were earning...
What year are we talking about?
We're talking about 1979-80.
Okay, 79-80, right.
And so, I mean, technicians were basically £60 to £100 a day.
Okay.
So I said, very kind offer, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the best offer you'll get. Take it or leave it. And I thought, well, you know, I'm sorry, but anyway.
Mm.
And then he rang up again about a week later.
Mm.
And he said, OK, we're prepared to offer you £400 a week plus subsistence.
That's a bit of a difference, isn't it?
Right? So he said, that's, you know, the artist's rate.
Oh.
I said, you know, really, I said, you know, I've got plenty of work on at the moment, and because this was 6 months.
Yeah. So it was fixed term contract for 6 months, was it?
So when you get self-employed,
yeah,
and 6 months work, so very good. But it might not work for the next 6 months.
No, exactly, and you've got to think. Well, in 3 months, I've got to be on my toes and start looking for work.
Yeah. And you try and juggle these contracts, so you know you get 9 months a year anyway.
Yeah.
So I sort of said no.
Yeah.
And then he phoned again a couple of days later. First Leisure Corporation here. Could you come to our offices at the Victoria Palace Theatre? We got a very lucrative contract for you. And I walked in the room, and I thought, I wonder what they're going to throw at me this time.
Yeah.
And this time it was £600.
Wow.
Which was the going rate, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of work. It's hard work. £600 and subsistence.
Okay. Was it a 6 month contract, or was it? It was, but it was more the going rate that you could live off of.
That's right. If a proviso, you do the first couple of weeks, and if they think you're no good, they'll replace you.
So it's a risk.
It's a risk. Anyway, it's fair dues. Anyway, I walked in the office and I thought, I wonder what they're going to throw at me.
Yeah.
And Danny LaRue was sat there behind the desk with him, you see.
What he was going to throw at you.
So I sort of walked over and he said, Danny looked at me, he said, well, Michael, I think we got you quite a good package here.
He's obviously overseen it.
So I'm signing my signature like this, and pardon the language, but this is what he actually said. Michael, I never forget a nice arse.
Oh, God. And I don't think you couldn't have ended up an antidote any better with that punchline. That was just like, that goes full circle back to your first encounter with him.
That's it.
That is. But so that was 6 months on his show then, was it?
Yeah,
it was just...
6 months. It was Danny's Dazzling Road Show.
Yeah.
And,
Which, if people watch this, especially with, the media that you watch this on podcasts and things like that, they might not know who Danny LaRue was, but he was a very, very big, almost our kind of Liberace. I would probably say very similar, our kind of Liberace back in the 70s, 80s, variety act, pianist, wasn't he?
That's right. So some of the characters, Danny LaRue portrayed them because, he cross-dress. He made no, he was a bloke, he was a fella. He spoke with a deep down voice.
Yeah.
And so everything was an act.
Yeah.
Whether he was gay or not.
Undetermined, was it?
I can't say.
I always presumed he was, but that's...
I think the presumption is right.
But that's only my opinion, and it's not a common thing, so that's my uneducated opinion of an idiot that doesn't know that much about... his own career, so excuse me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
We had, one of his characters was Liberace.
Yes. Oh, right, okay. He took off Liberace, did he?
And we were at the Theatre Royal Nottingham, and there was the lighting engineer and myself. We were stood on stage sort of having a discussion of what piece of equipment was going to get put where.
Yeah.
And... so I was standing there and all this sort of pervading smell of very strong sort of perfume.
Okay.
Quite manly perfume.
Perfume.
Very, very strong. And
I thought that wasn't until recently that they made manly perfumes. I thought it was all just brute back then.
I thought it was strange, they fumigating the place or something.
Yeah, maybe got cockroaches.
And the stage door sort of flew open and 6 or 7 6'8" blonde Adonises with capes, silver capes and grey suits, swept in.
Right.
And they're all security because they all had the old microphone up.
Yeah.
And everybody,
in capes.
And they're all in capes, yes.
Okay.
And they looked round the stage and they went round the auditorium, and then everything seemed to be clear. The stage door opened again, and in walked Liberace.
Boom.
There
it
is.
The man himself.
And of course he went up to Danny's dressing room. Yeah. And that, I suppose, was sort of 11 o'clock.
So he didn't, it wasn't to do a show or anything, it was just he popped in to see him on tour.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's excellent.
Another one.
But this was just 6 months.
Yeah.
So on this tour, so this was your full, big time, big publicity showbiz tour. And this is how you got inducted into the roadie lifestyle, wasn't it?
The roadie lifestyle,
yeah. So this was it. But yeah, your life must have been totally different then. So what age were you? Were kind of like 35, 36 at this time?
Yeah,
or a bit earlier?
Sort of started when I was about mid-20s. I was now sort of 34ish, that sort of age.
So it's really just like that, next level type stuff.
Yes, it just kind of took off, really.
Yeah, and again, you kind of made lots of mates there as well, did you?
It was a fight for survival.
Okay.
It was like a war of attrition.
Right.
It started at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
In the theatre.
Yeah.
And by about 4 o'clock, everything had to be ready for sound check.
Yeah.
Run through.
Right.
Because every theatre's, the show is designed to go in a car park.
Yeah.
The London Palladium.
Yeah.
Or Maidstone Town Hall.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're condensing it down.
Expanding and contracting.
Yeah, it's expanding, contracting. I think they did say that, I think it was Prince's tour. I know we're probably comparing apples and oranges here, but they said that Prince's tour, I think back in the early 2000s or something like that, he set up at the O2 Arena. And he set up at that arena and did his entire European tour from that one arena. And they said that he had one set up, one clear down, and everybody in Europe came to that venue to watch him. He saved millions and millions of pounds in having to actually have a moving tour. So for you, what you're saying is that, the amount of effort it is to kind of like retract and expand. that kit and get everybody from place to place, feed them, look after them. It must be a hell of an effort. But for 6 months, where did the tour actually cover? Was it just UK?
Well, yes, this was just a UK one, and I always thought whoever planned it must have been off their head.
Really? Why? Because they're dotting venues.
Oh gosh, yes, backwards and forwards, up, down, backwards and forwards. Sort of one first night. Well, not the first night, but let's say a night in Bolton.
Right, a night, yeah,
in Bolton. Then down to Cardiff.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Then across to Norwich.
That's pretty bad.
Then up to Edinburgh.
That's really bad.
Down to Plymouth.
That's crazy.
And these are one-nighters.
Who the hell?
Well, that's what I thought, you see, but
I know.
at the end of the day, they can only go to a venue that's got, the empty theatre to take it.
I suppose, yeah, that's one thing.
It's fitting it all in.
Yeah, that's a hell of a schedule. That's a lot of tour busing. Was it a big tour bus?
Yeah.
Couple of them, was it?
They made one specially for us. They converted one.
Oh, really?
But the bus, yes, the bus had I can't remember how many seats, but seats were reversed. They had tables.
Yeah,
so it's like 2 seats table, 2 seats, and 2 seats table, 2 seats.
Yeah,
same the other side.
Yeah.
Then I think there was another couple of seats, a mini bar with optics.
Nice.
A coffee machine.
Ooh.
Help yourself coffee.
Yeah.
A toilet, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this is. I mean, we're talking 70s coaches here, aren't we? 70s, 80s coaches. We're talking that kind of standard. And I remember. I mean, you look at the tour buses now. I mean, I'll make sure that you see. But I've got Ed Sheeran did a film. Well, his cousin did a film where he filmed him on tour. And doing his latest album, and every single tour bus he went on, you wouldn't even know he was on the tour bus. You'd think he's in a hotel, and it was amazing. So when you're actually comparing this, just like you've got the start of those kind of big tour buses.
Well, that's it.
But optics must.
They just ripped the seats out, rearranged the seating a bit.
That's it. Put some optics
and
up.
they built in bunks at the back. Bunk beds.
Yeah. Aircon? Did you have aircon back then?
I had aircon. Yeah. Needed aircon with smelly socks.
If people were living on the bus, then yeah.
And as I said, we had a loo.
Yeah.
And there's a wash basin and a sort of built-in shower unit, so you could shave, shower, and
the other, and the other.
Yes. And we also had 2 ladies on board.
Okay, so you needed a separate.
They were one was wardrobe and the other was makeup.
Oh, okay.
And they were offered, we were given subsistence, which meant we could go and stay in a cheap hotel.
Yeah.
I think we were given 30 quid a night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you didn't have to stay on the bus.
For a meal and a B&B sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to stay on bus.
No.
And we didn't have to have the unit, what they call unit catering.
Okay.
Which mainly consisted of McDonald's.
Oh, really?
And
McDonald's.
The girls went out and got us McDonald's.
Okay.
Pre-ordered McDonald's.
Yeah.
And every week they went to Marks and Spencer's and bought us a week's worth of pants and socks.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody'd wash our pants and socks.
No.
At the end of the day, we just threw them in the bin, threw them away.
Wow. That's rock and roll, that is. Nobody wears a set of pants more than
you used to get so sweaty and smelly, humping all this gear. It's unbelievable.
So throw them away.
And when they say about, submariners,
right?
They don't change. They live, sleep, do everything in there.
Okay. Submariners, right.
And so, being a submariner is you had to be a certain sort of nose block, I suppose.
Right, yeah. You'd have to put up with a certain... It's like maybe a submarine.
So
someone that lives in a submarine.
So life on the coach. It was decided that the loo, because the ladies being there, was number 1s.
Okay.
And number 2s, you had to get off the coach and find a public convenience, or preferably use the theatre.
Yeah.
And anyway, It all worked fairly well.
Yeah.
Because of, close proximity. And then the coach driver used to make his bed across the front seats.
Yeah.
And he'd driven, as I say, we'd gone from Edinburgh to Plymouth.
Yeah.
And he'd, in those days, tachometers weren't de rigueur. And so we left him asleep. We opened the emergency exit at the back.
Okay.
And I was just about to jump out to go into the theatre, and there was this big pile of brown matter.
Oh.
And I thought, well, you have to be careful when you jump out. Somebody's dogs left a load of...
Right.
And somebody else looked out and said, what, hand-used toilet paper?
They're very conscientious, dog owners back then, wiping their dog's bum. It must have been a nice area to do that.
I think that was the Theatre Royal York.
Really? That's a good memory of the Theatre Royal York, yeah. A pile of human excrement on the side there. But when you got to go...
Well, you got to go,
you got to go. So, well, I mean, their transition then, so obviously you went into this thing of now becoming tours. After the 6 months with Danny LaRue, did you get invited on more tours, or is that when you actually made your move to go and get a job at the BBC?
Yeah, no, well, yes. I intended to join the Beeb at that point.
Because it was the be-all and end-all of broadcasting, isn't it? As I think it is now, which I think it's worth. I mean, I'm going to get your point of views of actually being part of it, but I'm going to be honest, I don't really like it when people talk down the BBC and they kind of like fight the licence fee and things like that, because they don't realise the kind of the broad amount of content that the BBC have created and have actually instigated and inspired all around the world. I mean, you kind of. BBC America is on in most bars when I was in Brooklyn. It was on. It was just we always have that on, and because BBC America, that's what they want to watch. I think about all the radio stuff, all the podcasts. They got into podcasting a long time ago, and I was listening to Radio 6 podcast. I was listening to Richard Herring and all these great kind of like podcasts. But they're always on it. The iPlayer is one of the best on-demand pieces of software engineering, unchallenged by anything else. I think that the iPlayer is actually better than it actually quickly came out and made a standard better than any kind of Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything like that. I think they had the format and they got it spot on straight away. All of these kind of things, and people go, "Oh, I don't want to pay licence fee." What? But you'd rather pay, I don't know, $7.99 per month to Amazon Prime that only offer that one window of content. The BBC, every one of these live events, like one big weekend, like the big concerts, the coverage of Reading and Leeds and things like that, where I discover umpteen artists, that's my licence fee. The reason I can look at umpteen artists and the reason why I can go on iPlayer and see loads of them is because of the BBC. And I just don't understand why people have got such this bee in their bonnet about contributing to which is a British-owned, media, phenomenon, which it is, and it has been for a long time. I don't think television in any country would be what it is today without the standards set out by the BBC.
Certainly wouldn't.
Exactly.
I can back that up.
Exactly.
With coming off the serious side, I mean, the half of Middle East television wouldn't be where it was without the BBC.
No.
Because we turned up to do a concert at the Albert Hall, and everything was set out, and we arrived to 10 o'clock the next morning. I mean, the concert wasn't till the evening, but 10 o'clock we start, rehearsals, that sort of thing. And we wandered in and we thought, it's funny, where's all the gear gone?
Right, okay.
And like a whole scanner, big 40-foot articulated lorry of broadcast equipment.
Gone into the ether.
And it turned up in Kuwait.
Did it?
Apparently, yeah.
Okay. At the British Army, just like, we found this in Kuwait. It's all got BBC logos.
That's it.
All over it.
Yeah.
My God. Well, I mean, that's kind of a direct influence there by actually nicking the kit. But I mean, I think to have my own little rant about it was an opportunity. But so you've got into the BBC. So let's go back to where. So you've got a job in the BBC now. So you've aside, you've obviously sorted out contracts and you got your application.
Yes, it went briefly like the suit. I can't remember his name. Hello.
Sounds like David Niven in my head.
He said,
like David Niven.
What exactly do you do? I said, well, I'm a theatre sound technician, basically, to give it a proper sound. We don't want sound. We're overrun with sound.
Yeah, it's all about sound, my man.
I said, oh, I do know other things, I said quickly, hastily. Yeah. He said, all right, do you know anything about scenery?
Ooh, okay.
And
well, you would have at the theatre, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, watching the other guys and doing bits for myself. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not rocket science, but
no,
it's all about health and safety, really, is what.
Yeah.
And do you know anything about scenery? Naturally, I said, of course, yes.
Yeah, of course, sir.
And I think, oh, good. I said, what when a job description as an occupation, what a job description I'm applying for.
Yeah.
He put down scenic services.
Okay.
So I wrote scenic services.
Yeah.
About the CV, filling in all the boxes, previous experience. Oh, don't worry about that. Scenic service, that will do nicely.
Lovely.
And
all right. I'm just going to move you just a little bit closer. If you can just pull it just a little bit closer to you. I want to make sure we get all of this. That's the thing. I want to listen to my car tomorrow and actually be able to hear you coming through my speakers.
Okay.
So I've just got to make sure that I'm getting you. But so scenic services. You was it employed as scenic services man,
and that was it. I was thrown in the deep end.
So what was your first job?
My first job was what we call timber porter.
Timber porter.
Lorries would arrive in the television centre with scenery on.
Okay.
We'd transfer the scenery off the lorries onto trailers. These trailers would then take it into the studios.
Yeah.
Set, filmed, come back out, and then we load it back onto the lorry again to be taken away to stored somewhere else.
I see. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my introduction to scenic services.
Right. Passed with flying colours, obviously.
Yeah.
They didn't find you out. Oh, you don't know how to...
Several splinters,
Yeah.
And, of course, a lot of characters I met with that.
Yeah.
And I better not use their real names in case they hear this.
Anonymity,
Del Boy Trotter
right.
was based on one of our scenic operatives.
Lovely.
And other characters, Fletcher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, was he? What, Fletch?
Fletch was based.
Oh, wow.
And it was all, came off the lorries and they said, we'd like you to work the theatre with you because you've got theatre
experience, yeah.
So I thought this, excuse me, I thought this could be rather good.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there waiting in a completely empty room.
Yeah.
All television in the corner with the BBC News on, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm twiddling my thumbs, and all of a sudden the door opened, and this diminutive little character came in. Said,
right.
Listen up, everybody!
All right.
So I looked round, I thought, everybody, that's me.
Yeah.
We're going down the theatre now.
Right.
I said, did you say we're going down the theatre now? Yeah!
Sergeant Major, yeah.
So I followed him, and he was only about 4'11".
Lovely.
5 foot. And...
did he go hi-ho?
Yeah.
Hi-ho!
Oh, yeah. And anyway, I better not use his real name. Let's call him Del.
Del.
And anyway, I said, you're a feisty little chap. He said, yes. He said, I'm one of 10 brothers. I said, oh. I said, where from? He said, Walthamstow.
Walthamstow.
I said, oh, right. Okay. He said, yes. He said, my 3 elder brothers, they're all championship boxers.
Bloody hell. Okay.
So, and that was the sort of characters one got at the BBC.
Oh, that's quite good.
And another guy in our crew, he was a London cabbie as well.
Right.
So when he wasn't working at the Beeb, he was a London cabbie.
Sounds like a real kind of ragtag.
Yeah.
Kind of, I'll just join the BBC. See, now people kind of like aim for they start in education and aim their career at the BBC as like an end point. Sounds like most of these guys just worked for it for a bit of a laugh.
Well, when I joined, you see, a lot of the guys had come from Crystal Palace, Alexandra Palace.
Right.
Early days of television.
Okay.
And they'd sort of been in it, man and boy.
Right, okay.
And grown up. And of course, first time I was in the studio, you know, in a theatre, you're up against the clock to get the show on time.
Yeah.
Because that's what the audience are there for.
Yeah.
Must get the show on time.
Yeah.
So I go into the studio at the television centre and I'm rushing about like a mad arse. What's it? You know, put this here, put this up, put it. Whoa! What are you rushing for? I sort of got to get this up and. What was the expression? Don't knock your pipe out.
Don't knock your pipe out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's apparently an East End expression.
Right.
Don't knock your pipe out. I said, well, he said, look, he said, you're killing the job for the rest of us.
This is some union talk right now. Whoa.
Just, you know, hold your horses.
Just hold on, go at our pace.
Slow down a bit.
Yeah, we're on an hourly wage here.
I said, well, if I don't finish this, I mean, he just simply said, and it's quite common sense, really, if you weren't here, somebody else would do it. If you don't finish it, somebody else will finish it.
Brilliant. That's how our country was made great. That doesn't back up my original thing there. Thanks for shattering that. After I said about the BBC being a pioneer and everything, and you just like, all right, mate, just do your best, mate.
Sorry to shatter your.
No,
because when I went for my board,
it wasn't even known. Even at that kind of pace, the content is still top notch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Still back that up.
The experience. You couldn't beat the experience.
Well, no, you can't.
Well, what I mean is the amount of experience those men had.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's but I mean, so that you set up this. Can you remember what the show was that you set up for?
Might have been Saturday Swap Shop, something like that.
Saturday Swap Shop, okay, yeah.
You know, Noel Edmonds thing.
Yeah.
Great big
crackerjack type
thing. Two floors high, you know.
Okay. Saturday Swap Shop, my God. Are they bringing that back? They brought crackerjack back.
Something like, yeah.
Yeah, they've brought crackerjack back, so... But these things go round in circles, don't they? So you did all that kind of... Now you... I do know this, and I'll kind of bring you on to it. You actually had an interesting role on Are You Being Served? Are You Being Served is a bit of a very, very famous 80s sitcom with Ronnie Barker and David Jason, who are, sadly, one of them passed away, obviously, but David Jason is a national treasure and has resurrected the series now into... Not really my taste, but I'm sure it's done very well because they're keeping it going. But Are You Being Served? No, Are You Being Served? Well, Open All Hours. Are You Being Served was another one, but Open All Hours was the show. Thanks, Loki. See, so Loki always has to do something that gets him banned from the podcast. Open All Hours. You had a very interesting role on this, didn't you?
I mean, I did the till for a while.
You did the till.
The till is sort of...
Now, I will try and find a video clip, especially the video clip, the one that you've got of, and you probably need to send it to me or something, or find it on YouTube. Now, there was this till, and this is, you know, for the people who are on the video and audio, that you don't know, there was this kind of maniac till that he operated, which would snap open. And then as soon as he'd actually put his money in, he never knew whether he's going to lose his fingers because it would snap back at an alarming rate and everything. And it was kind of a common running joke all the way through it. And I saw in this video the till, but they'd actually got the camera angle a bit wrong, and I could see this little bald head snapping this till open and back. And it's you in that shot. And I was just like, that's like that was one of the kind of 80s staple comedies, Sunday night comedies, wasn't it? That was on the BBC, and you worked on that one. I thought that was quite cool. I think that's quite a cool claim to fame, because everybody remembers that till that's ever watched that show. They remember that till, and that was. It wasn't you every episode, was it? Or
no, it was shared. You did sort of shift.
Yeah. But you weren't scenery at that point, were you? You were more props, weren't you?
I was just props department. Yeah.
Yeah. So you went from kind of scenery to props then.
Yes, you had. But the basic hierarchy was you went in a scenery.
Yeah.
Which meant you built sets in the studio.
Yeah.
And took them out again.
Yeah.
The program or the show having been recorded.
Yeah.
And then you went from scenery, if you were good enough, I suppose, or that way inclined, into what they call props.
Yeah.
Now there's props breaks into the scenic men set it all up.
Yeah.
The props guys go in and they do what we call dresser set, hang pictures on the wall.
Mm-hmm. Dress the set, yeah, I've heard of that.
Put the table in, put all the dressing in, and they would then retreat, and then you had what we commonly called show workers.
Right.
So these were props guys that worked with the camera and the artists. Yeah. For instance, there was a box of matches. Yeah. We used to put the match just sticking out the end of the box because to actually act, eye contact, open a matchbox and get a match out and strike it without spilling matches or breaking it.
Right, okay.
So we used to sort of have it stuck out the end just slightly already. Yeah. So the actor could just locate it in one...
right, so there's no fiddling about with that kind of stuff.
That's it. Yeah. So
everything was ready for the scene.
All little things like that.
Yeah, very interesting.
And
did you have a continuity person as well, or did you have to handle that yourself?
Yes.
Because I find that really bugs me when I see bad continuity, like someone's wearing a red bandana, and then suddenly they're wearing an just off red bandana or something. Well, that doesn't fit. That's not...
This is where the superiority of BBC Productions takes over from the rest of the world. Right. Because you'd have a costume operative or costume dresser is the proper way. Proper. Yeah. And they would be observing. Yeah. So when the actress or actor would come off, they'd know, was the button done up, wasn't it done up, which way if they had a flower, which way the flower was it drilled, all that sort of thing. And we didn't have
digital cameras.
So,
oh my God.
But we had those
Polaroids.
Yeah. And they used to Polaroid things.
God, they must have, because the Polaroids weren't cheap to make. They must have gone through a hell of a lot of Polaroids.
And, but the dresser would, the costume. Yeah. The makeup, Mm-hmm. And, of course, we'd have a props guy observing, photographing. And, of course, one of the most difficult things was a family sitting around a table having a meal.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, isn't there? There's a lot of cutlery, there's a lot of food, people dress.
One famous show for that was a show called Bread.
Yeah, Bread. I remember Bread. Did you work on Bread?
Yeah.
Did you?
And we had 3 and sometimes 4 false tabletops. Okay. Set with place settings. Yeah. And food.
Right. Yeah, because they just again to elaborate on people, they had this long dinner table, and it was every single night the Boswells. Boswells would come in, and the mum would sit at the head of the table, and I think there was 4 men, and with associated partners, and they'd have a big family meal. every dinner, like after they'd gone off and had all their they'd gone and found money basically in any which way they can, and then the mum would just open up the kitty, and everybody put the money they'd got for the day all in the kitty and everything, and it was a big Liverpudlian family, so they had this big. It was quite a known set that all this comedy would actually happen at this dinner table as they're all, kind of taking the piss out of each other or just joking all the time. Right. So yeah, so this was one of the main sets that you did.
Yeah, I mean, just they'd start and they go, well, something's gone wrong. Rewind. Let's do that bit again.
Mm.
So you'd have to take all that off.
Yeah.
So I mean, one either end. We'd walk that tabletop off. We'd walk it. Another one back,
right,
with all the place settings and food.
Of course.
But they hadn't actually started at this point.
Right.
But we wouldn't get rid of the one we've just removed.
Yeah.
In case we had to jump forward again.
Yeah, like to a reshoot, of that. Yeah, okay.
So...
fiddly, isn't it?
Things like that got a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, that is fiddly though, isn't it?
And you mark things as well, people's positions on the floor.
Yeah, that's quite a common thing though, actors hitting their marks and stuff like that.
And also, say, a bunch of flowers on a table.
Yeah.
Because the cameraman would go, "Oh, sorry, could you move that bunch of flowers because they're right in his face?"
Right.
So you edge them just off out of shot or just off shot.
Yeah.
That's fine, and you'd mark that position, but you'd have to mark the original position.
Right, okay.
So when they'd done that shot, you'd put it back again.
Yeah.
And then the cameraman over there, shooting me would say, "Could you move it the other way a little bit?"
Right.
And you'd mark that. So, and you'd have to mark all these things. Otherwise, you get to that thing that the Americans aren't very good at. For instance, there's a big sort of grand saloon room. Sorry.
Oh, look at that. That's a party foul right there.
That is.
I thought you put it on silent.
I thought I did.
That's technology for you, buddy.
Can I go? Yeah. All right. Okay.
There you go.
Oh.
All right. So we won't be long. I didn't want to cut you off mid-story and everything like that. So.
Yeah.
So people in the cars that are just listening to that, or if you're listening to it on headphones, I do apologise because that's.
I'll turn the sound off, but it is now vibrating.
Who is it?
WhatsApp audio.
That's someone calling you. It's Kiwi. It's texting back, said just finishing up podcast. Like I said,
I can't get rid of him.
I can't get rid of him. It's like the Terminator. He's like the Terminator. He'll just keep pursuing you.
Message.
Where is it that you're going to meet him anyway?
Well, I don't know. He was phoning out to find out what we're doing, I think.
He won't go to the moon.
No.
No.
Oh, sorry, I can't talk right now. So.
Yeah. If there's a flip over in the video, whether I can be bothered to edit it out, it doesn't really matter. So it's like, people can just skip forward there, or maybe just take this as a coffee break. So what you don't like about not what you don't like about it, but where the continuity and the props differ when you see American shows.
Some American films, yes. Yeah. For instance, sort of big saloon in a large house, cameras won't track over carpets.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you have a couple of props guys hurriedly rolling the carpet up as the camera tracks across the floor.
Oh, right, okay. And
then when the camera comes back again, they unroll the carpet.
Okay.
And then the camera goes forward again, and they roll it up, and they unroll it. And generally, they do it 2 or 3 times, and the carpet disappears.
Yeah, that would be the case. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, well, I don't think it's an issue now, because you've got film grade cameras that will lock onto people, and you'll just walk and it will completely keep absolutely still. Just on someone's feet, wouldn't it? Which is thing. But back in the day, wasn't track like people that did all the tracks for what was the name of that person that did all the?
We had a grip.
Yeah, a grip. So the grip would actually do all the tracking.
Lay railway tracks
all over the set. Yeah, so that's it. Chief grip.
I mean, now they use a drone.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? Dan, isn't that mad? Isn't that mad the way it is now? I see on every TV show, I see these aerial shots. But the thing is, the aerial shots kind of start from, like, someone's face. So they, they start like there or there, and then all of a sudden they're just like that. And even at like kind of like YouTube and things like that, it's a drone. It's a drone that has recorded this, and now you've hired a helicopter, and you've got perfect, smooth shots and high res, like 4K digital video. Amazing, and it's everywhere. Like every shot I see, I kind of like on the travel programs and stuff like that I see as well. I kind of watch some of the travel programs and like the the Ben Fogle stuff, and I'm just like, cool, that's quite good. Oh, but they've got a helicopter with them, and I suddenly go, they haven't got a helicopter with them, have they? They've just got they've got nothing. All they've got is some cameraman in his backpack about that big. He's got a drone, and then he sends the drone up, and away he goes, and he gets perfect, 360 helicopter shots. What is the world we live in? Honestly, it is crazy, and it's so affordable as well. It's like 700 quid for like the top drone that would probably do similar 4K content for about 700 quid.
Well, so that was the end of my BBC career. Apart from the fact that I was coming up for early retirement.
You were, yeah.
Or redundancy.
Okay. So you worked from the BBC, so you started about 38, 39, got a job, which I would say is at the midlife. If changing career is like very dodgy doing that nowadays, and you have to be pretty, gutsy. But then you did that all the way through till when did you retire? Because that must have been...
They gave me early retirement at the age of 57.
Lovely. 57.
And basically because Television Centre closed down.
Yeah, it's closed down, but they moved it, didn't they? Is it Shepherd's Bush they've moved to now?
No, I mean, it's all sold off.
It's all sold off. They got the sold... is it Salisbury in Manchester? That's where the main centre is now, isn't it?
Yes, Manchester. They still got a production unit in Bristol.
Cardiff. Did you know? I've showed you the Cardiff pictures, didn't you? The Cardiff was. I had something to do with that project from a construction side, but yeah, Cardiff, beautiful building. But what is in London now? Because they still do like the one show comes from Television Centre, and so does Strictly. Doesn't it?
They came out of Television Centre. The building was 50 years old, so it was quite a bit of the equipment, to be honest.
Okay.
And it got to the point, having just talked about drones and highly portable Steadicam operators.
The infrastructure,
it got to the point where most of the staff were self-employed, contracted, cameramen, all on contract. This is the last years I was there, the BBC got rid of what I call programme makers, the ones that made things like Only Fools and Horses and Dad's Army.
Yeah.
Let's make a decent programme no matter what the cost is.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, they're all still being repeated today.
They are, yeah. All of that stuff's still around.
And sort of accountants moved in, really.
Oh, okay.
To make the BBC accountable. And cost-cutting. Why does the BBC own all this scenery?
Yeah.
It sits in a warehouse for months on end doing nothing.
Right.
Why don't we just hire it when we want it?
Right.
And whether they saved any money, I would assume they have, because they haven't had to have the large premises to store it.
No, but still, though, if they want to have it available, someone needs to store it.
Yeah, I mean, basically what happened is a lot of guys with the BBC had enough service for a good package.
Yeah.
bought the scenery.
Okay, and then rented it back.
And then rented it back to the BBC. The BBC gave it away for nothing, virtually.
Yeah.
And of course, the nicety is you're renting it back to the BBC, their own stuff.
Yeah, renting back to the BBC. But then I suppose when they're not renting it, then you've got to find a way to store it. Yeah. But to be honest, if you've got a lot of this stuff in and out, then that's it. You don't need to worry, do you?
But it was a strange thing. But you see, at the end of the day, we were called into big studio, Television Centre 1. They just said the building's 50 years old.
Yeah.
We cannot, or it's economic suicide to update it.
Yeah.
So we'll sell it off. So they sold it off, I think, for... can't remember the exact amount. So they sold it off for 27 million. Yeah. The whole site is worth some, 1.5 billion or something like that now.
Yeah.
3 property developers moved in.
Yeah.
And there's something like 8 or 10 flats on the roof of Television Centre now, which are penthouse flats.
Oh, wow.
Which are all £7 million plus.
God. Money.
And I don't know how many apartments they built into it.
That's money, that is.
And they were all the offices, and which I suppose mainly now you find in Salford Keys.
Yeah. Have you been to Salford?
No.
You haven't been to Media City? I've been.
Have you?
Yeah, I went. So we were opening a new office, which I had to do the IT for. Just around the corner, just literally on the same site, but there's a separate building just behind Media Centre where a lot of different offices are, and we've got an office there. And buzz-wise, it's amazing because there's a tram system that goes in and out, so it goes various places around the city and collects people, and then kind of like it ends in the courtyard of Media City. So when you get out and it's like BBC, Media City, ITV studios over there where they film Coronation Street and whatnot, and you go in and there's quite a few sort of artisan bars, like beer places, like craft lager, and they've got big they've got BBC up, like massive screens of everything that's on the BBC at the moment. It's a buzzy place because obviously there's lots of people. I was quite excited about being there, and the back of it as well. Round the back of it, it's actually housing an element of I think it's either Manchester or Salford University, and they have dedicated educational areas there where they train the new generation of engineers, filmmakers, and things like that. And it's actually linked with the university there. Because I watched all the students going in and stuff like that. I was like, this is just a real buzz about it, into media and stuff. But hell of a long way from London. I'm going to admit it's a hell of a long way. I don't know. HS2 will maybe make it a bit easier, but I think most of them will be retired by the time that's ready. But this has been good. This has been really fun, man. I've really enjoyed this. I think I'd really like to have you on again. Okay. Just to if you enjoyed yourself, it's been good to talk about these stories. You've got plenty more. I cannot get over Kiwi. I'm just going to say shout out to Kiwi if you ever watch this. Is like you're ruining my podcast by phoning Mike constantly. He's very needy, isn't he? He's very needy. He's on again. He's desperate. He's desperate for you, Mike. What's going on? What's going on, mate?
Yeah,
that's what he's doing. So, but it's okay. That. He's brought it to a close. You've got plenty more stories, which I will fish out of you because there's a John Gielgud one in there, and there's all those kind of ones in there, which I really did. Yeah, but this has been absolutely great. It's been more of a story about, just to loop it back together. I've asked you about your career and things like that. Normally on this show, what we actually ask for is about your passions and pastimes. But to be honest, this has been, for your career, has been your passion and pastime, and sound engineering and things like that. It's something that you do outside of work as well. So I think it's been very much on theme for you for it.
It's been fun. Really
It has
fun.
been good, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So thank you very much again, and goodbye, everybody. See you again.
Well, there you go.